Just let me know whenever we can start.
Yep. Good evening, Masters. Welcome to day 10. And today's topic is Swadhyaya, which will be conducted by Senior Master Alekhya ji. And let's deep dive in and welcome, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am, to the PSSM Global Australia, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Namita ma'am. Thank you to everyone who's joining in from the one part of the country, one part of the world which is ahead of us right now. So we usually are ahead from everyone else. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, PSSM Global, the PSSM Australia team. Meditation truly is a gift that we can give to ourselves. So without further delay, let's just dive deep into meditation. For those who are just joining in for the first time, just clasp your fingers, cross legs, cross hands. We conserve 10% of the energy that goes out from the tips of our fingers and tips of the toes by crossing them. 80% energy that we lose through our eyes. When we close them, the energy started to store within our body. Those who are wearing glasses, you can take them off. Get into a relaxed, comfortable posture. Forget about where you are, who you're with, what you're doing. And just for the next few moments, come back to your breath. Become one with your natural breath. Your ever-flowing, peaceful, tranquil breath. Whenever any thoughts take you away from this moment, come back to your breath. Whenever your thoughts take you away from this moment, come back to your breath. You are not just your thoughts, not just this body. You are the ever-expanding, infinite awareness. Do not chase your thoughts. Come back to your breath. With every breath, we are going deeper into meditation. Just becoming one with our natural breath. Just become one with your natural breath. Last 2 minutes. Just be with your natural. Last one. Last 10 seconds. Five, four, three, two, one, zero. Slowly place the palms of your hands on your eyes. Five, four, three, two, one, zero. You can open your eyes once you're ready. Welcome back. Awesome. Namta ma'am, can we get into the wisdom sharing part?
Yes,
Or
sure, ma'am.
sure. Okay. All right. Uh, Hello everyone. Welcome back. It'll be great if we can have a few videos on. We'll get to see each other's faces. Also, I have a quick question. How many of y'all are comfortable in English and how many in Hindi or any other language? A show of hands on the chat will help. Or
Yeah, if the masters, if you can raise your hand if you're comfortable in
what
both
is so
languages.
if you want anything in any other language in case you want to speak in any other language, we can. It's just we should have the option. So
Ma'am, we have a mixed
Akansha,
audience.
yeah, exactly. So we can do a little bit of English, little bit of Hindi, and if Telugu is needed, we can do Telugu as well. But I don't see any elders, so I think English should work.
Yeah, English is
Punjabi नहीं
fine.
आती मुझे. So what I know is this. So yeah, welcome back. Hope you had a great session. I enjoyed my meditation. Um, I like this artist a lot. His name is Rajat Prasanna. We made him a meditator. So a musician who becomes a meditator can really has the power to take you deeper in meditation. Patrisa was a great fan of flute. He himself was a flautist, and he encouraged and said that music was created for the purpose of meditation. And so, if you haven't already begun the process of using music for meditation, you can. It's not a mandatory, but it's good to have. It's great to have. So today's topic is essentially, yes, Abha ma'am, we'll do thoda of both. English भी करेंगे, हिंदी भी करेंगे, and I'm sure we're all Indians, so majorly we're all Indians. अभी जो मुझे दिख रहा है तो हिंदी तो समझ आ जाएगी. All right, so the topic for today is second principle of PSSM. PSSM stands for Pyramid Spiritual Societies Movement. This is not a registered organization, but a movement, an autonomous body of different societies which come together on this with the sole vision and mission of promoting the benefits of meditation, Anapanasati meditation, vegetarianism, pyramid energy, and spiritual science. Those are the four tenets. And when Patricia came up with the ideology of these 18 guiding principles, they are essentially, these guiding principles are not doctrines, they are not rules that make you members, because the very fact, as per of consciousness, that we align to this purpose. Oh, I have learned meditation and I'm benefited from meditation, so more should know about it. You are aligned to that group. And so that group is PSSM. And under PSSM, we have multiple bodies across the globe. In India, we have so many projects. Abroad, we have globally, we have a lot of projects. And so Pyramid Spiritual Societies movement, being an autonomous movement, being a conglomeration of all of these different individuals who align to this purpose, required a certain doctrine for our own understanding. We all need a certain understanding of how we can conduct our lives as universal citizens. The first day when we learn meditation in PSSM, Patrisa used to tell the ultimate truth. We are all gods. That's why he addressed everyone as we're friends, masters, and gods. So if we are all gods and that's the ultimate truth, then we're not just global citizens, we're universal citizens. And so while we have individual charters for our respective countries that we hail from, what does it mean to be a universal citizen? Those have been given in the form of principles. So today we will address the second. So the first principle, the most basic that we're anyway following, is practicing Anapanasati meditation. There are so many techniques of so-called dhyana that are being propagated across, but ultimately the dhyana yoga, the Raja yoga, which is to go into yoga chitta vritti nirodha, to go into an empty state mind, is only and only possible once we become one with the breath. All the mantra chanting, visualization, all the other techniques which are there, they are just aids to the process, but not the technique itself. The only and only right form of meditation practice is Anapanasati meditation. This word was coined by Buddha in 2500, but before him, many were practicing. After him, many are continuing to practice. So even today, in the hidden parts of the world, there are these rishis and munis, these ascetics who are practicing this form, because ultimately the breath is the gateway, the grand doorway between the body and the soul. The mind is not any physical place, it doesn't have a physical space in our body. When we talk about awareness, it's not any physical organ which exists. That ephemeral essence of oneness, of all beingness, if we can experience in our physical realities through the breath. जब तक सांस है शरीर है, जब सांस नहीं है वो शव बन जाता है. That's the truth. And hence the way to the greatest doorway to enter the kingdom of God is to go inward, and the easiest way to go inward is through the breath. So today's topic is not about the breath, but that is why the principle. So as universal citizens, any dimension that we go to, even if you're in space and you ever go on one of those Star Airlines flights, and you end up going on what is Richard Branson's brand's name? I forget. And you end up going Galactic Airlines, and you're in space. Breath is the modulator. You can enter that Shunya Sthiti once we are with the breath. So that's the first principle. The second principle of second guiding principle for Pyramid Spiritual Society's movement is reading right spiritual books. And so, in this principle, if you go into the PSSM website, you will see sir has mentioned a few books names, and of course, he's given the general category. And so, today's topic, today's class will not be about any one thing because the principle is quite straightforward. Read right spiritual books. So we'll break it down to the four words. Read, write spiritual books. So there's reading, there's like multiple actions. It's loaded. You have to read. What is the significance of reading? What is right in this category? What comes in the spirit of spiritual? And what exactly do we define as a book? Right? So reading right spiritual books, that's the second principle. And so, and the through the examples that Patri sir has given in this principle, we can go deeper into this concept. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen because it's always helpful to see such things. Okay, so reading right spiritual books, that is books by Osho, Lobsang Rampa, Carlos Castaneda, Jane Roberts, Annie Besant, Linda Goodman, Deepak Chopra, Sylvia Brown, Torkom Saradarian, Yogananda Paramahansa, etc., etc. We won't read too much into the etc., but the general word, the type of authors that have been defined clearly define what reading right spiritual books means. So in Sanskrit, this reading right spiritual books, Patanjali Yoga Sutras mentions Swadhyaya, which is Swa means self, Adhyaya means studying of the self. So, reading right spiritual books essentially can be defined in the general clause of Swadhyaya. Okay, Swa plus Adhyaya. Sandhi Vichhet jab hum karte hain, Swa means self, Adhyaya means practice, a study of the self. So when we say reading right spiritual books, now let's get into the deeper aspect of what reading essentially means. We expend 80% of our energy through our eyes, correct? That's why in meditation we close our eyes. So in the concept of energy science, what we see is what is getting stored as images in our mind. Essentially, whatever that you're viewing, even if it's words that you're reading, is all getting stored as images inside your mind. The mind does not capture things in the form of words, but association of memories. So the minute we talk about reading, that's why it's the second principle. Reading, 80% of your energy, whatever you do with your open eyes, where the conscious mind is being used. And in that action, when we talk about the word reading, it is utilizing, expending that 80% of the energy for the highest utilization. So this reading can also, so a lot of this, because generally people say, oh, I feel sleepy when I read books. I don't have a habit of reading books. Even listening to audiobooks and watching videos which are talking about these books, the right wisdom shared by these books, will also categorize as reading. You understand why I'm going into, so because we usually have these doubts inside our mind. So reading essentially is wherever 80% of your energy is being expended through your eyes, whatever activity where you're consciously using your eyes to see, ears to hear, will be categorized as reading. Because Swadhyaya is study. You're studying, right? Study is where you're expending your external senses to go inward. Because studying of what? The inward self, the self. So that's the first definition. What do we do? Read. Reading includes also audiobooks. It can also be watching informative videos. Okay? That's the first part. That does not mean we always get stuck to the screen. There's also that energy science because what we see is what gets stored in our mind. So that's why the next word, right, comes into category. Now, this is a fine sense of discernment. I mean, if you go into the master brain that Patriji has, it's 4 words itself, but it's loaded with all the wisdom. So we read what? The right. What is right spiritual books? what comes into the definition of right spiritual books. So this I learned through my own experience, because there's no right definition. The concept of right and wrong in spirituality is very subjective, correct? What might be right for me may not be right for you. So that is why in the process of our soul evolution, some people very easily pick up, let's say, very intense, like science fiction loaded books like Bruce Lipton, where there's all of the jargons, all the spiritual jargons that are being used. But ultimately, and for some people, just like, dude, those are just words, but I'm not able to understand what is in that. So what is right for you is very, very, very subjective. So when I started my spiritual journey, this was probably about 15 years ago. I was a CA student and I was a very left brain person. So I was very logical. I did not believe anything just because one Babaji with Dadi would come and tell me. I'm like, you tell me. You give me proof or you answer my questions. If your answer satisfies me, I'll be fine. So during those days, I've always been a voracious reader. So all literary classics. I mean Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, Ayn Rand. I mean the general Indian writers like Amitabh Ghosh, Arundhati Roy. I like reading. I like the idea of reading because I could use my imagination a lot. So I would read a lot of literary classics. So I would argue with Patri sir, and I would say, you know what? When I read these books, I'm getting an insight into someone's mind, the way that they imagine. He's writing about people's challenges and problems. There's a book, India by J. Sai Deepak, which talks about the history of India. So I'm like, there's so much in this mythology. I want to read about it. So Patri sir said, but though that does not come in the category of right spiritual books, because whatever has been written by this gentleman is from, it's not through his adhyaya, it is not through his study. Whatever, there are multiple levels, right? This body, mind, intellect, that is. That person is writing from the associated mind experiences itself. So at that point, he said, try reading, and then he led me. So he gave me some books. So I said, okay, fine, what should I read? So my first spiritual book that actually started was The Third Eye by T. Lobsang Rampa. It is a biography of a young Tibetan monk named T. Lobsang Rampa, who got picked as a young monk. He was not born into a family of a monk, but he was chosen by the monastery to be a monk. His journey and how he ended up activating his third eye. So, mind you, it is not because the subject is third eye, this can understand this caveat. I'm going to do right and spiritual simultaneously. So, right is, of course, subjective. At that time, my definition of right was imagination, books that help me to explore my imagination. But and that is right for that person at that time of my evolution, because that helped me to explore my imagination self, my creative self. But when I started my spiritual journey, right for me was no longer reading about someone else's imagination. किसी और की कल्पना को पढ़ने में मेरा अध्याय नहीं हो रहा. I'm not going deeper into the study of my own self. So right then the definition is what that individual went through his own journey. That's why my first book was a biography. Right in that journey, my own personal journey of my evolution, my spiritual evolution, right became subjective for me. So my literally classic book now became a biography of a person, of a person jigyasu, of a learner, of a seeker, a spiritual seeker. That is how the evolution of this process happens. So if you're new into meditation and you were like, oh my god, what do I do? Start with simple books where you just learn how you are seeking. There are, like us, there have been eons and eons, through eons of human civilization, each one has gone through this journey of self discovery. Pick up a book that you resonate with. It doesn't just because someone says, you know what, you should read this, Patri sir got enlightenment from You Forever, T. Lobsang Rampa, you should also read this book. If you're not at that stage of evolution yet, you'll get disheartened. You'll say, no, yeah, this book, I'm not connecting with the book. Unnecessarily, you end up putting pressure on yourself also. So right is very subjective for you. In your path of evolution, what is the right book for you? It will come to you. And what is spiritual in this? Spirituality is the study of the the inner world, which is also the outer world itself. But spirituality is essentially that which you cannot perceive yet with your physical human eyes. Spirit can only be experienced, right? It can only be felt. It can only be comprehended through those miraculous thoughts of ours. When we start to believe, it's only through those soul-centered feelings that we start to have, that you can really begin to have those ethereal experiences. So spiritual books. So we've covered reading, write, and now we've come to the third part, which is spiritual. Spiritual books are anywhere where the seeker is experiencing or exploring the self, the external self or the internal self. So there are books by Joe Dispenza where they're studying the neurological anatomy of the brain and the effects of different practices of how exactly our inner world is working, which is changing our external world, right? There's a new concept of epigenetics that people are exploring to say, you know what, you can change and redefine the cellular structure of your body by the mere by like changing your thought and changing your feelings and changing your emotions. So that's those are some kind of books. Then there are books by, and I'm going to take the examples that Patri sir has given. Books by Osho. Osho had instantaneous enlightenment. He didn't sit like Buddha under a tree. He just 1 minute knew instantly that all of the world is connected, and this is just life is a drama. We just come to have experiences. There is nothing which is past and present or future. There's only now, and now is all there is. Death is happening in this very moment. Life is happening in this very moment. So if we want to learn how to live our life as a true spiritual seeker, life as a celebration, living life in the present moment from a Zen philosophy perspective, we must read an Osho. Now, just like Osho, but Osho did not talk about third eye. Osho, anyone who had these mystical experiences, Osho discounted. He said there is no such thing as astral body and astral experiences. But in PSSM, we take an Osho and we take a Lobsang Rampa as well. But because in You Forever book by T. Lobsang Rampa, he does a complete study of an astral body. He says what happens every time you take an anesthesia or any time someone has a near-death experience. There is a long silver cord that goes from your belly button, which extends infinitely every day through space, where our astral body is released. And we travel and we are beyond time and space. The astral realm is the thought realm, the feeling realm, where all things exist. So while Osho spoke, we learn from Osho how to live life in a holistic way as a celebration. We learn from Lobsang Rampa that there is something called the astral body, and every day we release our astral body when we have dream experiences. So you see, the definition of spirituality is very wide. It is the study of the spirit, and not just one study. The study of all truths explored by every spiritual seeker of this truth from every angle. So we must read a Carlos Castaneda. Carlos Castaneda, Carlos Castaneda is as an anthropologist from I think Columbia University, if I'm not wrong, who would go to meet Don Miguel, his guru, who was a shaman, ancient shaman in Mexico. So from California, every weekend he would travel, he would go by road. He started to study the importance of herbs in the shamanic culture, and he ended up discovering the entire ancient Mayan wisdom that came through from his master, Don Miguel Ruiz. It's beautiful. If anyone likes to has this inclination to understand how this ancient Native American philosophy works of shamanism, we must read a Carlos Castaneda, because we have so many perceptions of what drugs are, of the psychotropic substances, or how we perceive reality in itself. What is our belief system? What does it really mean to be a spiritual warrior? When we read a Carlos Castaneda book, our complete ideology of understanding reality from changes, because they say everything is connected. Everything is connected. You must take the blessings of every living thing on this planet. Even a rock is a living thing. Even a speck of dirt is also a living thing. Everything is a living thing. Everything is alive. This is what even Zen philosophy says. So we must read every Zen book as well. So spiritual books by definition is this that which studies the spirit, that which is beyond just what we can perceive with our eyes, but the constant truth which exists in all things. So there's ancient Indian philosophies. So we must read Adi Shankaracharya's books. We must go deeper into reading about our Upanishads. We must go back and connect to the Vedas. And we must explore Eastern mysticism also in the form of Zen philosophy. We must read about Taoism. Wayne Dyer is a great master who has understood and brought Taoism in the New Age perspective. We must read a Jane Roberts. Jane Roberts, very interesting concept, was a channeler. She became a medium for another entity to come through and give wisdom through her. What we speak in PSSM, we create our own reality, is essentially that is the wisdom given by an entity named Seth through a medium called Jane Roberts. That is the truth. This is possible. This does happen. So when we write spiritual books, the world books essentially are the medium in which we study. Books are the medium in which we gain knowledge from. That's why we have books, right? Now books are dynamic. It can be a Kindle, it can be a YouTube platform, it could be this talk. Always best, of course, whatever it is, it's all energy transmission, so that happens. But reading the book, the very fact that a seeker had an experience and penned it down in words, all of that energy that has ever been put into those words, when you read that book, you gain that energy, that experience. That one book is equal to one lifetime of that, all those lifetimes that that yogi had while writing that book. So that is why a book, these four words, reading, write, spiritual books, brings into the complete essence of what Patri sir has stood for. He calls his enlightenment the Jnanic enlightenment. When he read You Forever, the book, suddenly he had an instantaneous response where he knew whatever he was reading, that is the truth. He no longer had any doubt in his mind. What is the ultimate purpose of reality? What is the ultimate nature of reality? Why does the soul incarnate? What happens when we leave this body? Why does the soul come onto this planet? All of this wisdom has been explored by every spiritual seeker, every soul who has come back time and again to experience itself. And in this 3D reality, if you want to experience the spirit in its purest form, it is through books. And hence we must read, write spiritual books according to this for soul evolution, that journey that you are going through, spiritual, all those books which are shared, which share the wisdom of the inner world exploring the outer world. And books, the medium in which we connect and complete eons of lifetime through one experience, a book. So I invite each one of you to please make a book your companion, a constant companion. Patriji always traveled with one. A book can lead you to so many places. I can share so many of my experiences in my life. I found my life partner through a realization that came to me instantaneously while I was reading two books, Conversations with Babaji and Bringers of the Dawn by Barbara Marciniak. I've I've read Ramdas books to have the understanding that psychedelic experiences are no different, are just an insight into what one can have as an experience when we truly go into a deeper space of, like, a deeper intense meditation experience. um, my understanding of, I could say that some form of my enlightenment, my eureka moment happened when I read Fire in the Heart by Carlos Castaneda. It's one of my favorite books. Everyone must read it. my constant support system in my life. If I ever want to just, it's probably I read it once in every 5-6 years. So I've read this book around 3 or 4 times. It's The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. His philosophy a little bit. His philosophy is a little bit like Ram. He's still alive, by the way. Michael Temple Singer. He's built the Temple of the Universe in Florida, and he's met Patri Sir, great master. He set up a Forbes 500 company. He's a carpenter, economist, spiritual seeker, and an author. Illusions by Richard Bach is a book that reminds me to not stop believing when the whole world is out to like question whether is it possible or not. Um, I'm currently reading 2-3 books. I'm reading Conversations with God again. It's by Neil Donald Walsh. Thinking and Destiny. Patricia told me in 2016, it is your destiny to spread this wisdom everywhere. It's a very deep book, so I have my notes, pen and paper all the time when I'm reading that book. There is a book, Archetypes of the Soul, which is a bit about personality, selves, the evolution of the soul, as well as spiritual psychology. And I think I recently completed Start with Why. It's a management book by Simon Sinek. I'm working in PMC Hindi right now. We have to manage this media channel. I'm a chartered accountant, a CPA by profession, so I need to. I mean, I'm good with numbers, but an entrepreneurial mindset, a creator mindset, learning from those who had that experience. Yeah, I hope I didn't. I know that our class is till 5:30. There isn't much to share in this topic other than the fact that you need to go and grab your book and start your journey. Um, a book is the swiftest way to enlightenment. This is a quote by Linda Goodman. Don't push yourself to read when you're not able to read, but that does not mean that if you don't have a habit of reading and if you pick up a book and you feel sleepy, that you don't read at all. A lot of people have that. My dad used to say that, but my dad used to not be able to read, and every time he would read, he would go to sleep. Me and my mom are voracious readers. My sister is also more. Each one has a different stimuli. So my sister learns well, like understands or remembers or learns better when she watches. So for me, I'm more of a reader. So I enjoyed reading. But I can tell you this: before my dad vacated his body, before he left his body, I mean, the books, he completed his lifetimes of experiences. He read The Buddha's Wife, Untold Story of Sita, Buddha's Wife, I forget the author's name, Untold Story of Sita by Dina Mariam, I Will Live for 120 Years, ironic because my dad only lived for 60 years, by Ilse Lee. And what were the other books? Um, yeah, I mean, he made sure that, and he's read all of Patriji's books, which is equivalent. So if you've read Patriji's books, this is a shortcut. If you've read Patri Sir's books, Patri Sir's titled books, though there are very few, most of them are in Telugu, and I hope one day we'll be able to bring them all in Hindi and English, of course. You can say that you've got all the 1 lakh books he's read, and you've read his books, you will get covered. Because his wisdom is the nichod of all those books. That's why I keep thinking, oh, ठीक है, sir के books पढ़ोगे तो आसान हो जाएगा. So I listen to a lot of sir's audios as well because, I mean, shortcut का ज़माना है. I mean, it's not shortcut, but it's like smart work, right? Why, like, if you have to build a brick, if you have to build a house, like, I can build it with each brick, or I can get someone who has that experience to do it, and I can do 10 other things simultaneously while my house gets built. So it's just smarter work. That's again, this concept is not mine. Copyright patent goes to Bringers of the Dawn, because our concept of hard work is so imbibed in our mind कि हमें hard work करने से ही मिलेगा कि ultimately everything is thought. If you decide that it's possible, it's possible. So everything is here. Change your thought, change your life. It's a title by Dr. Wayne Dyer, not mine. I'm telling you, you name the book, anything you think is creative, that book has already been written. So many people have written so many books. We can read, and like if we spend an entire lifetime to read also, we'll not be able to cover the books. So follow your heart's intuition. be guided to pick up a book. I usually always do that. I never try to push myself to read a book through this entire journey. PSSmovement.org's website already has all the list of the amazing authors that Patriji recommends. There are much more beyond it. A lot of the books that Sir has read, like Gurdjieff's books or Book of Mirdad, Michael Naomi, some of them are a little difficult. I wouldn't say, okay, difficult is also a thought, but maybe see where you are in your like evolution process, and don't judge yourself by thinking, oh, those people are reading like astral surgery books and I'm astral travel books and I'm still reading basic thought power books only. That is also important for you. Maybe you've already done that lesson, that's why this is more important for you. So just based on our lessons, we get that wisdom through the books. Let your intuition guide you to pick your book. Go to a bookstore, go to the spiritual self-help section. Spirituality and self-help are now go interchangeably in bookstores these days. Don't judge a book by its cover. Feel the energy. Every word is loaded like this for reading right spiritual books. How much is there no in this? So yeah, I guess Nisha ma'am, I will share. I think someone from this group, I don't know if it was Namita ma'am or someone has messaged me. I'm going to share it with them, the Zoom link for today. So I will share the list with you. I mean that link, and of course you can reach out to me personally. Only for books, yes, I will definitely, I never say no. Like maybe counseling and all, I'll just be like, please read this book. But if you ask me what book for this topic, I'll tell you for sure. And in PMC Hindi, of course, we did the whole Swadhyaya series. We're restarting it again for Hindi audiences because a lot of books are not available in Hindi. So we try to bring it in Hindi. And one of my life goals is to bring all of Patri sir's topics and books on his wisdom in English and Hindi. We will do that, and that's the entire PSS movement's objective. And if you guys have any questions, I'm open. I hope we've not exceeded our time limit.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, ma'am. I guess usually when masters tell us any book's name, we type in, but today's topic about Swadhyaya, the millions and millions book you mentioned, probably so hard to tell the title and author together. But as you mentioned, that we can go to the website and there's a list, and then it will be lovely if you can share a list with us. And so, that we know that if you're starting the spiritual books, which sort of the first books maybe you'd love to read, and then you you can gradually move to the next one. Because I find myself when I started books, when you read a very high-fi books or like above your level, you're thinking like, really, is it true? Is it really happens? Or you sort of, a lot of logical mind thinking started to happen. And then you sort of, I myself started 3-5 books maybe, and I haven't completed any of them. So, so I will make sure I focus on them one by one and finish them.
Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. It's a classic. It's beautiful. You can start with that. It's because it's a story. So it's not someone trying hard to sell. It's just him talking about his life. And the monologue that we all have inside our mind, he's just documented it really well.
Perfect. Thank you, ma'am. And I think we have few questions. I saw Kanchan's hand before, but I think she lowered it. Prajna ji is there. Prajna ji, would you like to ask your question? And
Hi, Ji. It was a great session today.
Thank you so much.
I tried to catch few books. In that one, you have mentioned Fire in the Heart by Michael, right?
No, Fire in the Heart is by Carlos Castaneda.
Carlos Castaneda.
Yeah. I mean, that's the final book. Like, if you want to get the ultimate wisdom from Carlos Castaneda, there's, of course, Teachings of Don Miguel Ruiz. There's Power of Silence. There's The Journey of Ixtlan. It's a whole, he's written many books. But, like, if you want to get the ultimate, each author has that one, like where packs a punch. So, Fire in the Heart is that for Carlos Castaneda.
Okay, thank you so much. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, Carlos Castaneda is again very intense wisdom. He keeps switching, so you need to be like, even while reading the book, So I'll just quickly tell you. The shamans work with left brain and right brain really well. So they'll completely throw you off. They're also shapeshifters. So Don Miguel, so Carlos Castaneda is always writing the book as a student who is observing his guru. But while writing this book, it's so beautiful because the student itself didn't know what the guru was doing. And when you read the last part, you're left like you're left flabbergasted because you're just like, what? And you've gone through that journey with the student because you're also the student while you're reading that book. Because that's how the book has been written. So it's a classic. So if you're picking up that book, kudos. It took me a while to get through that book, but yeah, it's Carlos Castaneda books, all shaman wisdom. Like if you read Four Agreements, that's by Don Miguel Ruiz. That's an easy book. You know, Four Agreements is easy. You can slip into it. आप पढ़ सकते हो उसे. But Carlos Castaneda is, he'll switch to reality, then he'll have some mystical experience, then he'll be 3 days later, because your mind is following logically. Okay, he went that day, now 3 days later this would have happened. Nothing will make sense. But somehow after you read the book, everything will fall into place and it'll make sense, and you'll be like, you've understood. What you understood, you won't be able to articulate until it comes into your experience itself. It's a great book. I mean, my personal favorite. So great read. Yeah.
Yeah. I will try to read it. Thank you so much.
Any
All
other
right.
master have any question, please?
I think
Ma'am,
everyone's
while
just like,
while others are thinking, like maybe I just have one question. Like, you know that when you read these spiritual books, what I find usually is you think the reality is one. Yes, that we all like different type of bodies, and we all, passing through from mineral kingdom to all the kingdoms and everything. But then when you find or reading different authors, they say they looks like they're going in a different direction sometime, or like as you mentioned that Osho didn't describe anything about third eye experiences, Kundalini or anything. So doesn't believe in it, then why he my question is why he doesn't believe it? Because if all masters are on the same level of intellect, isn't this everything same for everyone,
yeah.
or the findings are different?
Okay.
I hope I justify my question, but I'm
No,
not
of
sure.
course. This was the exact same question that I've had. How can you completely discount? Because a lot of masters completely discount some things. आज की डेट पर भी बहुत सारे लोग बोलते हैं ऐसे ये होता ही नहीं है.
Yes.
Again, let me tell you, Lobsang Rampa was a meat eater.
Mm-hmm.
If you read the Rampa story, he will talk about all the, like, I mean, till the end. He will propagate meat eating also to that extent. So this is where fine tune common sense and wisdom comes into play. So when we read books, we experience the truth as that soul has experienced in that lifetime. And Osho did not become an Osho in this lifetime. And an Osho is never going to come back is not the ultimate truth. A soul keeps coming back. Once it knows that it is one with everything, it will keep coming back. And Osho was needed at that point in history of mankind because people were stuck. इंडिया में नहीं तो अगर हम सेक्स का वर्ड यूज करना चाह रहे थे पॉसिबल था ओशो के पहले. उसको जितना भी उन्होंने ट्रैश किया, बोला अरे ये तो सेक्स गुरु है, बट बोलना तो शुरू किया वो शब्द. और आज इतने सालों बाद, almost 60-70 years later, today we are feeling a little more liberated because we say, oh, you know what, he changed the way things were. So you have to understand two things. As the master experiences the truth from that perspective in that lifetime has been documented in the books. Okay? But that master being born in that point in time, place in history also has its significance. So हमें हर book से, from each book we have to grasp the essence of the truth as experienced by that master, and yet go through your own journey to figure out what the truth is. Osho had so many third eye experiences. Every day in the night he would have his intuitions. That's how he followed the path. That has not been documented anywhere because that is his own deep, intense spiritual journey.
So how we know, ma'am?
You will never know. But you take the best from that book. What resonates with you from that book, you pick that up. That is why in PSSM हम सिर्फ ओशो को नहीं पढ़ने को बोलते ना. That's why you should read all the books and then you'll realize हाँ ओशो उस सब्जेक्ट के लिए बहुत अच्छा था. उन्होंने उस सब्जेक्ट में मास्टरी पाई थी. बट थर्ड आई पर लोबसंग रामपा जी ने अच्छी मास्टरी पाई है. If you read Theosophical Society's books, Theosophical Society set up by H.P. Blavatsky, Helena Blavatsky, led by Annie Besant, they only study occult science. They only study about third eye and astral experiences. वो किसी practical everyday life का बात ही नहीं करते. They only study occult sciences. But does that mean that we live in and they don't talk about meditation? They say meditation करना चाहिए, encourage करते, but meditation कैसे करना है वो नहीं बात करते. तो क्या वो गलत बोल रहे हैं? जो उन्होंने जो सारा रिसर्च स्टडी किया है, तो हर एक ने जो भी बुक लिखी है उस सब्जेक्ट के एक्सपर्टीज में लिखी है. बट डज नॉट मीन दे हैव नॉट एक्सपीरियंस द अल्टीमेट ट्रूथ दैट एवरीथिंग इज वन. ट्रूथ का एक पर्सपेक्टिव इन दैट फिजिकल रियलिटी, एक लेंस से, एक दृष्टि से वो देख रहे हैं, जो उन्होंने बुक्स में डॉक्यूमेंट किया, व्हिच वी रीड, वी गेट द एसेंस ऑफ एंड वी मूव ऑन फ्रॉम इट. So we don't stick to one thing and say, "Achha, he said." So ऐसे तो Osho तो doesn't talk about karma at all. He doesn't talk about karma siddhant at all. Osho like जो हो रहा है होने दो. This lifetime, this moment, all there is. That is the truth. Because as per Zen philosophy, this moment is all there is. Past, present, future is just all an imagination inside your own mind. This moment is all there is. From that is the enlightenment state of Osho at that point in time, which we must imbibe into our life to say that yes, I should live every moment as the last moment. This moment is the only moment. But that does not mean as a mother you have to cook for your kids. You say this moment is all there is and you will not cook, right? You will also do your duty. So what is it? हमें कर्म करना है, इसकी फल की चिंता नहीं करनी. तो मैं एक माँ हूँ, तो मुझे एक माँ की ड्यूटी, जिम्मेदारी निभाने हैं. I must do my duties as a mother, but not get attached to it. So this is also the truth. That is also the truth. Whatever book as a testimony has been written is a testament to the reflection of the truth at that point in time for that master. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
But we
I
are
think
experiencing the ultimate truth. Truth is one, that we are eternal souls.
yes.
So it's like take a piece of glass and shatter it, drop it. Each piece of glass will reflect your reflection, but only that aspect of it which जितना उसका दायरा है. But है तो वो reflection दे रहा है, और वही one glass का ही piece है वो.
Yes.
I try to like do some
No, the way
visualization.
yes, I think makes sense. The way I'm thinking is like, you know, when you're younger, you go to the coaching classes. Whichever subject you need attention or more depth, you just go for that tuition. If you're weak in math, you go to math tuition or science tuition. So something similar. If you want to learn Osho's philosophy, you read Osho philosophy, like about current life and everything. And then if you're learning, you want to learn more about how the third eye works, then you go to the other person's book. Sorry, I'm not good with the names. So yeah, okay, makes sense. Thank you.
But
Thanks
we
for
must
saying.
read from all books.
Yeah,
We should
to
not be
get a
stuck
wider.
in any one subject. Maybe each lifetime we might have a certain expertise. Let's say some people want to become channelers, so they want to pick up that expertise. Some people say, no, you know what, I want to talk about psychology, spiritual psychology, how the human mind works, how behavioral sciences work from a spiritual perspective. So maybe they'll tend to that. That is your individual resonance. But we must read all books. We must take, every book represents an essence of the truth experienced by that soul. The more books we read, as many lifetimes you added to your one lifetime itself. And we're so fortunate at a time we can keep adding so much wisdom onto us. Just from one click and one Kindle book will get added, you can read it. One lifetime added, done.
So much easier these days. Yes, agree. So ma'am, like when you say if you want to be a channeler or you want to be uh, Yeah, channeler or past
modality.
life regression person or something like that. So do you want to be and then you practice that, or you've been chosen, or you have those abilities in you?
Both.
Both. You can become
See,
one
in
if you
like for
trust.
example, yeah, for example, okay, I'm a South Indian, okay?
Mm,
If someone asks me, do you like eating South Indian food or North Indian food? Or like what kind of food will you like to eat? I'll be like South Indian food.
yes.
But actually, when you ask me what I really like, it's not a South Indian dish. I actually like Italian cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
I love spaghetti. Okay. So now, is it my calling? So similarly, you might have a certain experience and expertise already because past life से आपके पास वो talents है. You might be born with those inherent qualities. So maybe you're naturally an empath. You are very compassionate, so you feel very strongly. You connect with animals. Let's say like you work with like pets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you connect with animals. You're very connected with nature and stuff. This comes very naturally to you, and instinctively you realize that you're also able to connect with people and this nature wala element and help them in their own healing process as a
Mm-hmm.
counselor. Okay, it will come to you. Life program. Patri sir also says, I didn't know I was born to teach, but I had a realization and I continued. He was not born as a teacher, but teaching quality was always there in him. He always liked to share. जो उनको अब पता था, he liked to share. So there are innate qualities that you already are born with, and as time evolves, as your soul evolves, you'll also figure out what your purpose is. It keeps coming to you. So that's why this spiritual journey, we should be open to everything, not be stuck to any one thing. For some people, it's very natural to be past life regressions. अगर आप मुझे बोलो कि अलेख्या एक ब्रेथवर्क वाला सेशन कंडक्ट करो, मुझे इतना नेचुरली नहीं आता. But you asked me to share wisdom about like different books, to talk about different concepts. I would love to do it. Like that's something I enjoy. But more than that, what I love is creating courses and modules and planning and motivating people behind the scene to run the show from the back. I don't like inherently. मुझे पीछे लेके लोगों को motivate मुझे I can also take a class, but ultimately, what I enjoy doing the most is what is helping me fulfill my purpose.
Yeah.
So it comes to us. We just gotta be. Yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely. Thank you. There's no more hand raised, ma'am.
That's fine.
All good.
I think we've solved all the doubts.
Yes, ma'am. And yes, even it would be lovely if you can share the list of books for us. And yeah, that would be great.
I've already shared the link on this
Oh, okay.
chat,
Yeah. Sorry.
but I can send it on WhatsApp once again to you. You can
No
share it on.
worries. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for coming today and share your wisdom with us. It's lovely to meet you as well.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
And good
giving me
night.
an opportunity to express.
Thank you. See you. We'd love to see you again. Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.
Absolutely. I'm always around.
Thank
Good
you.
night.